Invited. Okay. Welcome to Havdalah. Rabbi Barbara is taking some well-deserved vacation. So I'm it tonight, which means you also get to listen to me sing Havdalah. My condolences. But the story first. Okay. This is a story that takes place, actually, it's a nice time to think about with the heat because the story takes place in the cold of the winter where there's snow all over the place. Now, most of the townspeople could remember exactly where they were and what they were doing the night the alarm sounded in their peaceful kingdom. Trumpets blared, torches were lit, and messengers raced through the street. Was it an invading army? A flood? An earthquake? No. As it turned out, it was merely the loss of the queen's favorite diamond. Everyone was relieved, of course, except for the queen. To her, losing an exquisite jewel was worse than any natural disaster. Find that jewel, she raised to her attendants. Find that jewel and that criminal who dared to steal it from me, or you'll all find yourselves in the dungeon. Is that perfectly clear? If you didn't figure it already, the queen had a terrible temper. But your highness, your most gracious majesty, said the royal chamberlain, it wasn't stolen, it's just misplaced. Misplaced? She shrieked. How does one misplace a 20-carat diamond? The chamberlain kept his eyes on the floor. You see, your jewels were being brought from your country estate to the palace, and the carriage overturned and rolled down a hill. But don't worry, no one was hurt. Get to the part about the diamond, said the queen. Well, the trunk broke open and everything spilled out, and we found the emeralds and the rubies and the sapphires. They were easy to spot in the snow, but not the diamond, he said miserably. We couldn't find it anywhere. It's impossible. Impossible for you, came the frosty reply, but I am the queen, and if I want something done, it will be done. The very next day, posters appeared all over the kingdom. They said, thereby I offer 1,000,000 gold coins for the return of my diamond, no questions asked. As long as the diamond is returned in 30 days exactly, and not 1 second later. It was signed the queen. Now, it just so happened that the jewel was found. 30 days after the queen's posters went up, it was discovered by a little boy playing in the snow near the road that passed the Jewish center of the city. How wonderful, cried his mother when the boy showed it to her. The queen will be so pleased, she'll give us the reward, said his little sister. Pleased indeed, said the boy's father, shaking his head. Our dear queen might decide that we're thieves and blame all the Jews for stealing her diamond. Soon a crowd gathered, each offering an opinion. Don't be a fool, boy, said one. You should hide the diamond and pray that the queen never finds out. We can't do that, said another. That's just like stealing it. After so much arguing, the town did what they always did. The Jews went down the lane and they went to talk to Gittel the wise. Old Gittel sat and nodded as she listened to their arguments. The townspeople might exclaim or plead or wring their hands, but Gittel just nodded more, pressing one finger to her wrinkled cheek. When she'd heard everyone's ideas, she nodded one last time. Don't worry, my friend, she said. Just put the jewel here on the table by me, and I'll take care of the rest. But what will you do? Asked the little boy who'd found the diamond. If we don't return the jewel by midnight, we won't get the reward. I know, said Gittel as she motioned everyone out of the door. The stone must be returned at exactly the right time. Now, all of you go home. I promise you everything will turn out right. Of course, the town people didn't go home. As the sun set, they pretended to admire Gittle's garden or mend her fence, but really they were waiting to see what she should do. In fact, the later it got, the more impatient they got, until they could stand it no longer. What could Gill be thinking? One muttered. It's awfully late. Why is she taking so long? Maybe we should just take a peek through the window. Maybe she's ill and she needs our help. Finally, they looked into the window. They found to their great surprise that Gittle was not anywhere ready to leave for the palace. In fact, Gittle was in a rocking chair, sleeping with a book on her lap. The town folks rushed in and said, Gittle, Gittle, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Why are you taking a nap like this? Don't you know it's nearly nighttime? I know, said Gittle, sounding annoyed. That's exactly why I needed a nap. I'm going to be up late tonight, so don't you think it would be a good idea to have a nap first? Now, please go home. Of course, the townspeople didn't go home. They stayed right there, watching as Gittle stirred some soup on the stove. They stared at the clock ticking while she slowly ate her dinner. They sighed as she took off her apron, put on her shoes, found a fresh shawl, and smoothed a few white hairs under her cap. They nervously bit their lips as she wrapped the diamond in a fresh handkerchief and put it in her pocket and patted it a few times. And then finally, she left the little house and began the long stroll to the palace. Just outside the palace gates, she paused and looked up at the clock tower. She didn't rush ahead, not even when the bells began to toll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Gong! It was 8. The townspeople stared at her with open mouths. Gong! It was 9. Gittle, they said, run. Gong! It was 10. Oh no, she can't possibly make it in time, they yelled. Gong! It's 11. It's too late. There was a silence that seemed to last forever. Then finally, gong! It was midnight. And then finally, Gittle entered the palace gates. Inside the palace, the queen too had been listening for the bell. Every moment filled her with despair because she's sure that no one would now return her beloved diamond. The echo had just died when there was a murmuring outside. The chamberlain stepped aside and Gittle entered the queen's chamber holding out the diamond. What joy! What ecstasy! The queen rushed to Gittle and grabbed the jewel and covered it with kisses. At last she caught her breath and pointed to Gittle, who was standing in the doorway. You there. I bet you're expecting that reward, aren't you? The queen said. Well, old woman, you're too late. You didn't return my diamond by the 30th day. Rules are rules. You're quite right about that, Gittle answered mildly. Rules are rules. In fact, that's why I returned your diamond. My people, the Jews, have an important rule. Do not steal. And it would have been stealing to keep your jewel, which one of us found. Indeed, said the queen curtly. But you're wrong about my expecting the reward, Gittle continued. In fact, I waited and it was too late on purpose. Why? Because we Jews have another rule. Do the right thing because it is right. Well, of course, the queen said, but she sounded a little uncertain. Of course you know that, your majesty, Gittle echoed. A great queen like you, known for her kindness and honor, always does the right thing. That's why you would like nothing better than to reward my loyal people. I know. Gittle shakes her head sympathetically. Such a pity you can't. But rules are rules, even for a queen. And Gittle curtsied and turned to leave. Little does she know, the queen thought with a proud toss of her head, I can do whatever I wish. I'll reward my subjects, rules or no rules. This old woman can't tell me what I can and can't do. The problem is, how can I reward them without breaking my own rules? The queen sat for a long time, caressing her diamond, lost in thought. The next day, the queen ordered her chamberlain to take the reward of 1,000,000 coins and to misplace 100 of them in front of each home in the Jewish quarter. This was not breaking the rules, the queen reasoned, not at all. A great queen such as herself, known for kindness and honor, should only do what was right. So that's our story for tonight. Gittel kind of pulled one on her, but it is true. You're supposed to do the right thing for only the right reason. And now, excuse me, I'm going to put up the Havdalah blessings. I had them open and we're going to go into chat here. All right. And the biggest thing is I always forget to hit return, which I find. So those of you who have candles and lemon juice, we can get our candles lit. Ooh, first try. I've been having trouble with my matches lately. Die die da 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 die 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 da 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 die 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 da 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 die da 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Borei peri hagafen. Die die da 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 die 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 da 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 die 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 da 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 die die da 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei minei v'samim, borei minei v'samim. Die die da 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 die 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 da 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 die 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 da 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 die die da 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei me'orei ha'esh borei me'orei ha'esh. Lie die da 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 die die lie die da 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 die die lie die da 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 die die la da die da 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 die. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lecho ben or lechoshek ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshet tameh hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. You could take a minute to either do your last smell or last sip of wine, and we put. That was very hot. If you want, you can unmute yourself as we sing Eliyahu Hanavi and then Shavua Tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishvi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladid. Bimhera b'yameinu yavo aleinu Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben David. And now Shavua Tov, 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 a good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week,
A week
of peace.
May
Gladness
gladness
reign
reign
and joy
increase.
increase. Shavua Tov, everyone.
Shabbat Tov.
Thank all of you who for coming tonight. We're going to be here next week, same time, same place. And Evan, if you could take us off Facebook now. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone